All right, game number 4. So, we've got SV, Ickbenine Kanto, Pops Your Socks, and RCX Dude here competing. SV is substituting in for, I do believe it was Zorbaz, who had to drop out, so many thanks to SV for subbing in for us. And NC Game Wizard's still here with us, doing some commentary. Hello. I see a scavenger location, and I think I'm just blind to the rest of the map, if I'm being honest.
I'm looking at the rest of the map, and I'm not in love with it, to be honest.
Well, yeah, but and that's basically my point, is because it's like, I immediately saw, all right, there's no water anywhere, so we can just ignore that and just focus on the ice. Silicon's just bad no matter what you're doing. And all the iron's kind of on the south end, and I want to be toward the north because of all the ice. So I would have taken that scavenger location already. Potcher Sock's going to go for the Nomad. He's not going to have good silicon, but... Oh, he's going to also block the scavenger location with that. So, Kanto doesn't know how to deal with this. Everybody else has gone ahead and founded. We'll see how it goes.
Here's what I'm going to say in Popster's favor.
I don't want to land on this map. Anyway.
Yes. Well, there's that. You're pretty much... I kind of like the idea of going expansive. That would be a way to deal with it. I don't really like the idea of going... But in Popster's favor... besides the fact that he does have that huge electronics price to deal with, which is something that I would be really regretting right now. Because I often go Nomad without checking, and that you don't... With every other HQ, you found with one of the resources that you need to upgrade, it's usually the one that's more difficult to make or more expensive, like electronics for the Nomad, for example, is very difficult. You just don't make as much with a single electronics factory. Just to start there. So the spot that he picked with that scav spot, it can do electronics, and he needs electronics at level 2.
Yeah,
that's
probably
in his favor.
Yeah, I'll give you that. That's fine. Water's also, very strong. He has this advantage that he is in the ice. Nobody else is in the ice actively. Water's pretty good right now for the solar condenser, and for about another 6 seconds it will be. Until nighttime comes. And so, maybe it's fine. He did get to 2. He's going to be able to grab up the carbon. Should be fine.
He's looking for what he needs to well, yeah, he's got a lot of interesting plans going on. Going out of that claim, going back into it, going back out of it, moving it around.
Yeah, he can't decide what to do with that claim, because he kind of wanted to take the combo carbon and aluminum tile, but perhaps realized there's no big advantage to doing so. He's actually built electronics factories already. I don't know how I feel about that. But he realized there's no big advantage to doing so, and he could just get power surged out. Right.
Positionally, those power surges are why he's doing this. Trying to separate his industries, which is something you really want to do in power. Effective ways of attacking someone is to just have it so they can only not shut down 3 at a time, maybe.
Yeah. I don't really like what Pops has done here. I think I would have rather seen... I don't know if he needed the electronics production already. Because aluminum is holding very, very strong.
Pops, I think he'll be first to 3.
No, he might be first to 3, but I think he could have done it better. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. And so... And he's not even first to 3 because SV just churning away on the steel production is going to be our first player to get there. So, power's looking very good for SV. That's kind of what I'd be looking at right now if I were him, I think. Trying to figure out if you can afford to take that carbon tile away from the Nomad as well. The combo carbon aluminum tile, just to be a jerk. Probably not the best of ideas, but it might be something I would do anyway.
Wind turbines coming down, which... Don't know how I feel about that, just with, geotherms. I know 120 is a lot for a scientist,
But steel's $22 a piece right now, so,
I guess it comes down to where do you get your money to buy it?
A geotherm costs the same amount as a wind turbine right now, actually. I want to point that out. They're both just under 6K.
Okay, just put up the geo.
Yeah, I would argue that in that situation, it's probably better just to put up the geotherms and maybe even put up the geotherms and look at getting into some carbon because carbon's just that absurdly expensive. And on top of that, Pops had created a situation where he was consuming a large amount of carbon. He wasn't pulling in any carbon in that moment. So just a nice, easy power surge now that he's made the transition. And you would secure a nice little resource for yourself for a very long time. Instead, SV has gotten into Just
a really cheap
super
auction.
far away farms that I'm really upset about. I mean, it's a cheap auction, but let's be honest, nobody but Kanto could have really taken it. It's just so far away. It's such a ridiculous fuel cost to transport that carbon for anybody else.
I guess the issue is with silicon this expensive, you can't even put a wind turbine, but a solar panel down on.
Yeah.
Typically you're thinking solar panels.
It's true.
You're thinking I've got something too far away to use.
Yeah, solar panels can be the nice thing because it doesn't take any fuel whatsoever to transport power. Power just automatically gets added to your pool and sold down immediately. So that's correct. But of course, a solar panel costs $11,000 right now, whereas a geotherm costs $2,000. So,
when we talk about Offworld being the game of choices, this is what we talk about.
yeah, exactly. Oh man, I'm a little surprised that SV didn't make more of a serious move into power. He did get 2 wind turbines down, but those were pretty darn expensive, and there aren't geotherms on the map. Two vents are left open right now. I definitely would have liked to see a little bit more of a fight over those.
The price on power where it's at, it's really hard to not justify the geo, because even if you end up going a little hard into power and tanking the market, which is something that was a little more common with geos before Ceres and Io came out, you're chewing through so much debt that it almost has to work out in your favor, and you can kind of get away with electrolysis, steel, more power-hungry production, more of it. You know, even if you do get too many geotherms, tank the price of power. There's things you can do. Don't be afraid at $200 a unit power to put up another geo. Do it. Just do it.
RCX dude has moved quite heavily into life support resources, despite having no water production at all. Which I'm sure SV will be glad to see. Pops should be glad to see it long term. But for now, it's helping Kanto out a lot because he's in triple solar condenser during this solar flare. So RCX dude's consuming 5 water a second. That's really nice for him.
There's one time to be consuming 5 water a second. It's on a map where ice is the only way to make water during a solar flare. Because that is going to drive that price down. I mean, it would be crazy if it did.
Yeah. I don't know how I feel about... No, I actually just hate that Pleasure Dome having cost $36,000 for Kanto, because it's not an Elite Pleasure Dome. The Elite Pleasure Dome makes more money at the cost of consuming chemicals, but chemicals are so ridiculously cheap, that's quite obviously worth it this game. And so he got the location, and he kept everybody else from getting the Pleasure Dome, but realistically, it's an extremely expensive Pleasure Dome at 36,000 debt and costing this much debt in power. He can, but he hasn't yet.
No. Well, he's probably, still hoping to get some resources together to maybe deal with that he's in D-level debt right now.
Yeah, but he's in an absurd amount of debt. He didn't have to take on all that debt. Interest tick is still on the way for this. Like, he needs to get up to 4 pretty desperately just so he can avoid the 30% debt tick that he's looking at. Yeah, that's gonna ruin that plan pretty effectively.
So, let's talk about working at cross purposes here, which is something that, as a good player, when you start really seeing the way the market and the way demand works, you start realizing, oh, I was running on a treadmill. That's why I wasn't moving fast. I was moving the goal further away from myself. Cross purposes. He's trying to pay that debt. He's trying to make money in power, hypothetically, though in D-level debt, you've usually kind of ruled that one out for a long time. This Pleasure Dome costs $224 a second just to run it. So he is making profit. He's making about $30 in profit. And, there's something to be said about money versus debt. Not when you're in D-level debt, though. So right now, his Pleasure Dome was actually making those wind turbines worse, is the conclusion. That's working at cross purposes, where you put a building down that makes the plan you have to fix the problem not do as good.
Yeah. I'm a little bit concerned about this debt situation for Kanto again, because, that was a $52,000 interest tick right there. He picked up the tile auction for $40,000. And then ate 50,000 debt ticks, so he's now in $213,000 of debt with a $9 stock price. And if I'm anybody else in this game, I'm starting to think, might be a nice person to purchase after the next tick rolls around.
Yeah, we talked about weak versus strong and the psychology. And it comes down to I could spend, I think it's 50,000 if you have the 5 stock, if it's $1 a unit, to just own you and get 2 extra claims and a stock boost. Almost always worth it.
Yeah, pretty much that is always the correct decision to make. As it is right now, Pops is going after SV. I don't see him being successful with that at all. He still needs 3 stock purchases to get it done. SV only needs 2 more, and he's got 1 of them, so Pops is just nowhere near that. I would sell
SV
out of
making
this
power money.
and then like just start trying to stockpile my cash. Yeah, SV making huge power money for a while there, at least with his wind turbines. They've been doing very good work for him. But I would just sell out of this stuff as Pops and like focus on trying to take down Kanto, because it's going to be so valuable to do. And it's highly unlikely Kanto is going to pull himself out of this hole if you choose to be aggressive against him in particular.
Maybe Popster's hoping that exactly what's happening happens,
Ooh.
and somebody decides to just take SV down with him.
Maybe, and this is a strange decision out of Kanto to me.
If I was in his position, I wouldn't turn my nose up at it, because of the fact that, I mean, you know, you're in the weakest spot in the game.
So SV died there because he had remote farms. Just want to point that out. There are other factors there too, but it is actually a very big deal that a lot of SV's money was sitting out here.
Yes.
At these farms rather than being back home. If he had just sent a little bit sooner on those, or if they had simply been at home and he had relied on shipping the water in, then he arguably would have survived there. And also maybe just a bit aggressive on some of the transitions from SV. I know he was moving stuff around rather than making sure he wouldn't die. That all works out very well for Pops long term though, because Kanto is still in an absurd amount of debt. And
Yes.
Pops has eliminated basically the number 2 player from this game.
The biggest problem is if you see someone like Kanto moving in position debt, which it does not look like Kanto is positionally, you know, heading towards, you've got those cheap power surges that Kanto just did not get Goon Squads for. You know, his power got shut down because he didn't defend his power. Other players, you know, prior to SV getting bought, SV and Popster, both of which really spending money. You know, and those only 6,000 for a Goon Squad. It's really not much. You don't think about it, but spend that power, keep out of the debt, put Goon Squads down for later in the game for catching that offense, and that's how you get out of a spot where Kanto's in. And Kanto right now is just, you know, if they do get into a spot where they could actually be successful, someone's just going to come by and just slow down strike them.
Yeah,
You know, and
and
there's nothing they can do.
realistically they should. I mean, Pops has a black market use coming up in about 5 seconds here. The water is starting to fall away, but you want to make sure. I would just stay on top of Kanto consistently
Me too.
this game. RCX dude, he's still in the game technically, but he's not making money. He's actually been doing the opposite of that and throwing his money away into a patent lab. And I don't like doing that at this stage of the game because Kanto is in an absurd amount of debt. Between Pops and RCX dude, this game is actually still up for grabs, despite the fact that RCX dude is so far behind in upgrades, because either of them could get the full purchase onto Kanto, get a massive stock boost from that, and get 2 extra claims from it for very, very, very cheap. And so if RCX dude saved up a lot of money, he could still stay in this, but he's just not.
One important thing to keep in mind is when you're judging who to strike. It kind of looks like RCX would be the person to hit. If you actually take a close look, you realize RCX, he doesn't have enough water.
Yeah.
Not even a little bit, which means once this glass is done, he can't actually go into electrolysis effectively. He's essentially choking himself slowly, this glass production.
Yeah, it's just...
So, meanwhile, Ikbin has options. He doesn't necessarily have an HQ where he can effectively make a lot of anything, unless he just goes whole hog into it, but he does, more so than RCX dude, have a future in this game just because he has things coming in he can make stuff with.
Yeah. Plus,
So there's that.
Plus he's cheap, and you can, if you knock him down just a little bit more, it'd be pretty easy to go ahead and finish him off. Man, these glass kilns are burning money.
So these debt ticks, they come in at the end of the day. It's pretty much, I think, 24 hours and 30 minutes or something for Mars, something like that. Yeah. And so looking at the timer here, that Ikbin is literally mere moments from having his stock knocked down. You want to keep him from being able to pay debt by selling steel, for example, by making this food, and you want to be using your black market to stop that, which Popser on cooldown can't really do effectively right now.
Worth noting, by the way, that in the most recent patch for Offworld Trading Company, debt became even more deadly, and the further you are past D level of debt, the more interest you take. And so that was a 42% interest tick on Kanto's debt. It was $116,000 of debt that was added to his business there. And now it would cost Pops all of $120,000 to acquire Kanto. So what he should be doing is not buying into SV, is not buying into RCX Dude. Just knock Kanto out of the game. Just finish him off at this point.
Yeah, at this point, the only question is, what do I want to do with my two? Water. I'd be thinking water. Carbon is really crap, but carbon-based industries are all great. So maybe put up some chems, do things.
Yeah, just do maybe add into power, because that's starting to creep up on you a little bit, and that's an easy way to lose a game sometimes. It doesn't really matter for Pops what he's doing, because RCX Dude also made the mistake of not saving up money. But let's say RCX Dude didn't have these patents, and instead he had $50,000 extra because he didn't build a patent lab and acquire these 2 patents.
It might be him that was able to take out Kanto.
Yeah, because Kanto costs less than 100K right now, and that's a dangerous thing. That's an easy way to come back into a game. It's probably the easiest way to come back into a game, honestly, that exists, is to have another player screw up really badly, get into huge amounts of debt, then you just buy them because you were paying attention to the fact that was happening and nobody else was. It's hugely important to take advantage of.
This guy is serious? I assume what Popster is getting at? Yeah, he's serious. He's seriously not paying that debt.
Alright, Pops has figured out that he can just take Kanto down by acquiring a little bit of cash. Yeah, he's got a huge amount of food saved up. He just needs to sell that down. It's only $89,000 to finish off Kanto at this point.
One thing to note about subsidiaries, and I'm pretty sure this is a recent change, is they get their debt zeroed when you buy them.
Yes, they do.
So it's very useful if somebody's in D+12, and you can get a hold of them for that $92,000 to get them, because even though they aren't making money, they might be able to get somewhere when that crippling interest is no longer, just beating their face in. Opens power up as a market at minimum. The subsidiary.
This game.
Yeah.
I swear.
Yeah.
I mean,
I told you.
Pops should still win, but...
Yeah, he should.
But, honestly, fine, whatever. It's fine. I'm not upset. SV, by the way, power got ridiculously annoying at some point for SV, and you'll notice that the subsidiary is required to continue to pay down his debt this whole time. So before he had transitioned back into power, because he's had all these buildings elsewhere and such, he had gotten so low on cash that he actually was not providing any subsidiary income to Pops for a long time there. Meanwhile, Kanto is already providing more income. Just because Kanto's subsidiary had the geotherm up already, it's actually got a couple solar panels up, so once day has hit, as it just has, Kanto's going to actually start making a fairly significant amount of money, and is staying ahead in value of SV for the time being.
There you go, a textbook example of get a hold of a subsidiary and have them start paying out just because of the fact that you reduced that debt.
Now, Pops should still be making more money than RCX Dude. He is ahead in HQ level. He generally has better access to these resources. That network virus is actually pretty funny because it locks RCX Dude into these not particularly good farms, and RCX Dude has no water income. So if Pops wants, he can just buy up water and buy up water and buy up water and hope
that the shortage on the way.
Yeah, and just make this situation pretty terrible for RCX Dude.
Yeah.
9K
need to take water.
It's another Pleasure Dome auction. Sort of ridiculous.
Technically, RCX could make a really expensive, very painful transition into 3
He could.
solar condensers, one of which would not have adjacency.
Yeah.
So, it's not the end of the world to be stuck in a spot like this, but as an expansive, you have to be asking yourself, where's my water?
Yeah.
Is it going to be good water? Is it going to be bad water? And what am I going to do about that?
On top of that, by the time he got there, night would be on the way pretty solidly because it's already noon.
Yeah. No liquid batteries on Mars.
Yep, can't be doing that. It was a strange map for these players to figure out, by the way. It's not often, it does happen, but it's not often that you have a map without water on it completely. Have to rely on ice. But
like it.
I enjoy these games. They don't happen frequently, but it does test the players to be able to use it effectively. And makes Nomad arguably all the more valuable for having its extra location.
It makes Mars feel like Ceres. Because you see that a lot more often on Ceres.
Yeah, you do see that a lot more
water
often
is
on
just
series.
completely insufficient, if present at all.
Mm-hmm. Well, these subsidiaries are destroying the water price, and Pops wasn't really paying attention to that fact as it was happening, I don't think. Man, look how much
because more network virus on these farms, and it's not nearly as good right now.
No, because the subsidiaries, during the solar flare, they're going to auto-sell the resources as they're bringing them in. And Kanto, in particular, was making something like 15 water a second off of these solar condensers altogether during the solar flare. So that was just going to knock the price right down, and there was no point in continuing to try to make that play for Pops.
RCX moving into even more water, or water consumption, I should say.
Well, he just saw the price drop dramatically, but yeah, he really should put up some production of his own.
Going right back up.
Yeah.
D-level debt, never what you want to see when life support industry is this expensive, because even the money that you would be making, you're just usually going to end up paying off debt for oxygen you breathed earlier in the game, food you ate earlier in the game.
That's a nice power surge.
Yeah.
Hit those reactors. Sure, why not? Offworld market coming up for RCX, dude. I mean,
too late.
Yeah, it's just not going to do much, realistically. I mean, it costs a lot of money to put down. Steel's at $250 a piece right now. It would take probably about 4 minutes for that to actually make any money, and I find it highly unlikely that RCX Dude actually has 4 minutes left in this game.
Yeah, pretty much. Popster could probably buy up all of the available stock that is just in his own company, like all of it, and then still finish this up in less than 4 minutes. I can't swear to that, but I like the odds.
Yeah, pretty close, I would say.
Yeah.
Pop's very close to finishing this off at this point, by the way. He only needs about $130,000 more if stock stays as it is. Nobody wants that.
At this point, I mean...
Aluminum's $114. Just take it. It's not that big. Like, oh, man. Well, anyway. I guess it's
if
fine.
If you're Popster, I could see you thinking, the building prop... If you're RCX Dude, I could see you thinking the game will probably be over in a few seconds. So.
No, just take it. It'd be fine.
Oh, definitely. It was definitely the right move to take it. This is what the fact that Offworld is a psychological game comes into play. Where if you beat someone, you win the moral victory, and in their heart of hearts, they no longer think they could do it. Maybe they'll go for that bid.
That's true.
Maybe they don't.
Maybe they just give up.
It's really hard not to. It's really hard when you...
I understand. It can be very difficult. So, both players have enough money to buy each other out, theoretically. But of course, Pops can hit that button and get it done now. RCX Dude would have to take a good 30 seconds to get it done. And Pops will go ahead and take his victory, despite the misstep in handling the benign Kanto situation. He still played out his own territory well enough to get it done. So, congratulations to Pops your socks there.
Very great.
Let's see.
Still never got out of that pleasure dome.
No, well, the subsidiary was pretty much never going to get rid of it. Yeah. I wouldn't have mind seeing Kanto try and hold on long enough to get a patent lab up and pick up nanotech, and then transition the pleasure dome afterward, and then you grab virtual reality, and you can do some silly things with all of that going down. But he just too much debt Too much debt.
That power hit. You know, you just can't leave your power undefended. You just can't.
Yeah, it's a bad idea. Also, don't bid $40,000 on an off-world market when you're already in on a Pleasure Dome when you're already in a huge amount of debt. You can bid $40,000 on an off-world market pretty much whenever you wanted to, but
when you're going for those early founds or those high level plays where you just don't make power and you run up your debt, you have to recognize that means that whatever comes up in the auction house, and that could be catastrophic for you, to not get it, you're just saying, nah, I don't need it. The spot I've got is good enough. So you always have to know what you're saying when you're not hitting that pay debt button, at least a little bit, just occasionally. Don't hit it too much, but once in a while.